This is the 150th Mr. Men Little Miss book reading. Little Miss Tiny's Big Adventure. Here we go. You may know that Little Miss Tiny is very tiny indeed. But did you know that Little Miss Tiny is so very tiny that she lives in a mouse hole? Yeah, I think you do. One morning she went out of her little house to buy some wool to finish the scarf she had been knitting. But when Little Miss Tiny goes shopping, she doesn't go in on the bus or in a car like you or I do. Oh no, she's much too small for that. She travels by pocket. Yes, that's right, by pocket. This particular pocket belonged to a jacket, which belonged to a farmer on his way to the market. Little Miss Tiny's shopping trip had begun. But first a short tractor ride. Little Miss Tiny was jumped and jiggled, bumped and buffeted into the pocket of the jacket of the farmer on the tractor. Hee hee, giggled Little Miss Tiny in the pocket of the jacket of the farmer on the tractor. What an adventure I am having, she said to herself. I'll have so much to tell my friends about. Suddenly, a tissue! The farmer sneezed. The farmer sneezed a very big sneeze, and as he arrived at the market square, he pulled out his handkerchief and... What do you think happened to Little Miss Tiny? She was pulled out of the pocket, and down, down, down she fell! Poor Little Miss Tiny. But she wasn't hurt, and Little Miss Tiny soon cheered up when she realised that she was in the middle of the town. Now I shall go and do my shopping, she said to herself. 2 crumbs of bread, please, she said to the baker. But as she left the baker's, what did she meet? An enormous rat! The biggest rat out of all the rats! A mean-looking rat who had his eye on her breadcrumbs, and maybe on her... But as quickly as it arrived, the rat ran away, frightened by a cat. I think it's time for me to go back home, said Little Miss Tiny to herself. But the farmer had already left. Could Little Miss Tiny really walk all the way home on her own little legs? Certainly not. She decided to try to get a lift from a passing car. But there were no cars on the road that night. Poor Little Miss Tiny. It wasn't long before the rain started to fall. And when you're as small as Little Miss Tiny, each raindrop is like a saucepan of water. Little Miss Tiny began to cry. If only someone would drive past, she said to herself. But nobody came. Little Miss Tiny found an old tin can for shelter. She curled up inside and waited for the rain to stop. She don't make any noise. Maybe Little Miss Tiny will fall asleep. Little Miss Tiny did fall asleep, and when she woke up, the rain had stopped. The cloudless sky was lit up by the moon and stars. Little Miss Tiny still felt so alone. Bounce, bounce. Who do you think is making that noise? Yes, it's Mr. Bounce, bouncing and laughing as he goes. Please don't bounce to me, said the little voice. The little voice was, of course, Little Miss Tiny. And would you be kind enough to help me home? With pleasure, replied Mr. Bounce, and lifting up Little Miss Tiny, he bounced around the field, along the road, and all the way home. I'll never forget how you helped me, said Little Miss Tiny to Mr. Bounce as he put her down in front of the farmhouse. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Mr. Bounce bounced over the gate. I'll come back and visit next Sunday, he said, as he bounced away. Oh dear, my bread is all wet, said Little Miss Tiny to herself. But the little mice who live next door won't mind, I'll give it to them. Then she went to fetch her knitting. She hadn't even managed to get any more wool. But perhaps it didn't matter now. The scarf wasn't very long, but it was just the right size for Mr. Bounce, the perfect thank you present for her small but very bouncy friend. Wasn't that a good story? And now we've reached 150 Little Men and Mr. Men and Little Miss book readings. Isn't it brilliant?